Okay, so well done for making it through part 1 where we downloaded the data from Kaggle. You may have viewed the data already, had a look at what sort of data we're working with. Make yourself familiar with those columns, because the first one we're going to be doing before we do anything else is we're going to jump into spreadsheets, and we're going to have a look at what we can do quickly, just using things like pivot tables and using charts in the spreadsheets. So without further ado, let's jump into it. What we're going to do is we're going to import the data that we downloaded from Kaggle. So this, you'll need to remember where you downloaded your Kaggle dataset to. So I'm going to actually open the first CSV file here and press import data. So make sure it says game week 1. So you'll see a couple of bits here. So you'll see surname, team, position, cost, points, PPM, season PPM, and comments. And just double check here that they correspond with the ones from where it's mentioned on Kaggle. So you can see there the columns listed in Kaggle are the same as the columns in the actual data, which means you've done this correctly and you've downloaded the correct data set. That's always good, just to double check. The only thing you're not seeing here is comments. I don't know why. Right, so first thing we're going to do is going to turn this into a table. And this is just so that we can actually look at the data in a more simple, convenient way. So we're going to go ahead and highlight the columns. You'll see me get rid of comments just because they're just not needed here. We don't need the comments for any of the analysis we're going to be running. The comments are just there to show you who's injured, who may have got a red card in the last game, at what point they joined the team. So we don't really need any of those for our analysis, so we'll get rid of it. Everything else we're going to need. You'll see it's quite a good data set in that it's very refined to what we actually need. So now we turn it into a table. It's a bit easier to view the data. Next thing that we're doing, if I remember what I did next, so we're just going to go on to insert pivot chart, so we can actually start running some analysis on this data. And here I'm just playing around with stuff, and you'll see that it does eventually lead to some very basic insights, just to show you what you can do with a pivot table. They're really, really powerful things, not to be overlooked. So first thing we're adding to the rows is the surname, and we're going to also add in there the team, just unticking show totals because we don't need those in. With the values, we're going to look at points, and we are going to categorize by sum. And we're going to sort by the sum of points on all of the on the rows. So what that means is, and we're going to change that to descending. So what we've done there is we have essentially changed the view from, so we added surname, we've added in team, we've done a value on the sum of points, which would be the same as season points at this stage. And I've changed the order to show me descending, so the highest down to the bottom. Now what we can actually then do is we can use that to insert some charts. We can also include a filter, so we can filter for position. Just check that when you press attack, you do get all of the attackers. Here we're going to check the defense as well, and we can then filter the goalkeeper and mid as well. So we can filter based on position. We could also filter on team. It doesn't really matter, but at this point we're just looking at position. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is include the top 11, well, it should actually be the top 12. There you go. Just because number 1 is actually the heading. And then you can see we have a bar chart for the top 11 players based on sum of points. So you can see straight away that Semenya, Woodward, Charlison, Haaland, Calafiori were the top 5 players. Lewis, Ekitike, Reinders, Raya, O'Reilly and Kudus. If I wanted to, you can mess around here with things like the chart style, so you can make the players' names appear at the bottom of the base. We can change the way that the players' names look. We can change the line colours. So you can play around with these charts to make them as visually appealing as you like. Just literally just messing around here, showing you how easy it is just to get your sleeves rolled up and to dive into the data straight away. Adding in a little title there, so we're going to call it something along the lines of highest points scored for game week 1. And again, I'm not a massive fan of how this looks, but if we were just doing some data analysis on a spreadsheet, we could spend some time playing around here and changing the colours. We could do things like change the colour per team, to make Bournemouth red and Nottingham Forest a different shade of red and Manchester City blue. But for now, that'll do. That shows you the highest point scored in game week 1. I believe we're going to now run very similar. We're going to insert a new pivot chart just to have a look at the most valuable in game week 1 as well. So we've looked at season points there. This time we're going to run a very similar pivot table, and we're going to change the value to to ppm, and we're going to put that as sum. And then we're going to change the way that it's ordered by descending values. So here we're going to add values as ppm, as we said. The sum show as default. Sort by sum of ppm. Change ascending to descending. Bish bash bosh. There you go. You've got your ppm now rather than points. And we're going to go ahead and highlight the top. I should have highlighted the top 12 there, just on the top 10. Make sure you do I did the top 11, which actually shows the top 10, just because the first row there is actually the title. So make sure you do the top 12 rather than the top 11 there. There you go. That shows you the most valuable 10 players, it should say, in game week 1. And again, we're just messing around with the table. So we can change things like the titles. We can change the way that the players look. We can change the fact that inside each bar it has the team name. Again, we can mess around with this. We can move it into a pie chart maybe, a line chart, all that good stuff. Just messing around with the options here, just to really show you that you can just grab a pivot table, throw in some values, mess around with it, and get some really easy data visualizations to look at straight away. So again, here I'm just messing around with the table. Now, you can go ahead and repeat the process here for the second and third data sets, game week 2 and 3. But I'm just going to end that there for now. I'm going to follow this up. You could then download that as CSVs or comma separated values. We don't need to do that. We've already done it. But there you go. You've got some very quick and easy data vises and a little bit of analysis there straight off the bat. In the next part, we're going to be actually importing that data onto R, and we're going to start talking about R. We're going to run some analysis, do a bit of coding, and we're going to basically disregard what we've just done there with the pivot tables and have a look at just that raw data that we downloaded from Kaggle. And we're going to run some cool stuff in R. So see you on the next video.